If you own an older home, you have probably heard a lot of advice about what you should do when you renovate. Today, I want to flip that around and talk about what I would never do to a historic house, especially if you care about a quiet, refined look rather than quick trends. Some decisions seem harmless in the moment, but slowly strip away the character, the proportions, and the gentle charm that made you fall in love with the house in the first place. In this video, we will go through those never moves step by step, so you can spot them before they happen and make calmer, smarter choices instead. Stay with me to the end, because the last points are the ones most people overlook, and they can make the biggest difference over the next 10 or 20 years. If this kind of careful, thoughtful approach to old houses speaks to you, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your own experiences and opinions in the comments. It really helps this content reach more people who love historic homes. The first thing I would never do is strip the exterior of its personality just to follow a trend. The facade is the face of the house. It is the first thing you see, and it quietly tells you when the home was built, with its proportions, trim, roof lines, and windows. When someone paints every detail one flat dark color because it feels modern, or covers good original brick with fake stone, the house stops looking like itself. It starts to look like it is wearing a costume. On a quiet street full of older homes, you can always spot the one that is trying too hard to look like a brand new build. It does not feel timeless, it feels insecure. Instead of fighting the facade, I would treat it like a good old watch. Clean it, repair it, maybe change the strap, but respect the original design. That might mean fixing the windows instead of changing their size for no reason. Repainting the trim in a calm, thoughtful color palette, instead of chasing the latest color on social media. Repairing brick or stone instead of covering it with fake panels. An old house can look fresh and neat from the street. But if you erase its face, it stops being your historic home and becomes just another box. The second thing I would never do is remove original windows and replace them with the cheapest, most generic option. Windows are not just openings for light. They set the rhythm of the facade and shape how each room feels. In many older homes, the glass has a slight wave. The window bars are thin. The proportions are gentle and elegant. This is hard to copy. When those windows are replaced with thick vinyl frames that ignore the original pattern, something important disappears. The light looks different. The view feels flatter. The house loses part of its jewelry. Sometimes new windows are truly needed because of rot, very bad past replacements, or serious energy problems. But even then, I would not choose something that looks like it belongs in an office park. I would look for windows that respect the original grid, thickness, and style. You can make a house warmer and quieter without taking away its character. Small lines and edges matter a lot, especially in the windows. The third thing I would never do is flatten all the ceilings just to hide surfaces and make everything clean. Many older homes have ceilings with interesting details, light beams, plaster medallions, soft curves at the edges, or even just a slight unevenness that catches light in a gentle way. When everything is lowered into one perfectly flat plane with a grid of spotlights, the ceiling stops telling a story. It becomes just a lid. In good, calm interiors, ceilings get as much care as walls and floors. You notice how the light fades near the edges. You notice how the molding frames the room. If there is a serious reason, like new ducts or structure, sometimes you do need to change the ceiling. But I would not lower every ceiling by default just to make planning easier. I would try to route services more carefully, keep medallions and moldings where possible. Use light to highlight the ceiling instead of hiding it. A good ceiling is like a well-tailored jacket. You do not always see it first, but you feel when it fits right, and you feel when it does not. Another mistake I would avoid is turning every surface into a feature. In many renovations, you see a feature wall, feature tile, feature paint, feature lighting. Everything is competing. A historic home already has character. The floors, the doors, the trim, the window placement, these are the real features. If you add too many loud elements on top, it quickly becomes visual noise. Calm, elegant interiors depend on restraint. They do not look like they are trying to impress you in every corner. They feel collected over time. So I would not cover original plaster with many different textures or add bold wallpaper in every room. Instead, I would choose a few places to highlight. Maybe the fireplace, maybe the staircase, Maybe a built-in cabinet in the dining room. Let those elements stand out. Let other surfaces stay quiet so your eyes have a place to rest. I would never install harsh, cold lighting as the default. Good lighting in a historic home is a separate, very deep topic, so if you want to know how to do it well, there is a full video on lighting on this channel that you can watch after this one. Built-in cabinets and shelving can be wonderful in a historic home, but I would not cover every wall with storage just because there is space. When you keep adding more and more built-ins, the house can start to feel heavy. Every surface becomes storage. The eye has nowhere to rest. A calm, elegant home is not about maximum storage, it is about enough storage and some open walls. One well-designed built-in in the dining room or hallway can feel special. If you repeat it everywhere, it stops feeling special. I would rather choose a few spots for truly beautiful built-ins and leave the other walls simple. This contrast makes those pieces feel more intentional and more precious. One thing I would never do in a historic home is treat the staircase as an afterthought. The stairs are often the spine of the house. You use them every day. You see them from many angles. They connect floors, and in a way they connect generations. When a historic staircase is covered in wall-to-wall carpet, or the original wooden rail is replaced with a cheap metal one, the house loses part of its continuity. The stairs do not have to be dramatic, but they should feel solid and cared for. I would rather refinish the wood than hide it. Choose a runner that is quiet and classic instead of very trendy. Keep or copy the original proportions of the railing instead of swapping it for something random. A good staircase in an old house feels like a handshake every time you use it. I would not give that up lightly. I would also avoid trying to fake age when the house is already old. Many people add fake beams, fake barn doors, fake vintage trim. This can look nice in a showroom, but in a real historic home, it often feels like a costume. If your house already has real plaster, real wood, real quirks, that is enough. You do not need extra layers of pretend history. Instead of forcing a farmhouse look into a city townhouse or making a simple house pretend to be a castle, I would ask, what is natural for this building? What period? What style? What level of formality does it honestly have? Then I would make choices that support that story, not replace it with a different one. Furniture is not technically part of the architecture, but in a historic home, the wrong furniture can fight the house as much as the wrong renovation. I would not fill an old house only with very cheap, very trendy pieces that are not meant to last. Older houses feel best when at least some of the furniture has weight and seems worth keeping. That does not have to mean dark or heavy, but it should feel solid and appropriate. I prefer fewer, better pieces and some open space, rather than many light pieces that will be thrown away in a few years. I would also not design a historic home only for photos. Pictures are flat, they do not show sound, temperature, or the feel of surfaces. An old house is something you live with over time. How the light moves through the rooms during the day, how the floor sounds under your feet, which corners slowly become your favorite places. If you design only for a thumbnail or one perfect shot, you often end up with big, loud moments that look impressive but are not pleasant to live with. In a good old home, the best details are often quiet. The way the stair rail feels in your hand. The way lamplight touches the bookcase in the evening. The way the dining room feels on a winter night. So I would not ask only, how will this look in a photo? I would also ask, how will this feel early in the morning? How will this feel when I'm tired? How will this feel in 10 years? If it still feels right in all those moments, it is probably the right choice for a historic home. So those are the habits and shortcuts I personally avoid with an older house. The aim is not to freeze your home in time or turn it into a museum. The aim is to keep the parts that carry its story while quietly improving the comfort, safety, and daily life inside. You can bring in better wiring, better heating, better kitchens and bathrooms, and still keep the feeling of solid doors, good windows, thoughtful ceilings, and calm, balanced rooms. When you protect those things, the house can change and still feel like itself, year after year. If this video gave you ideas or made you look at your home a little differently, please tap like. Subscribe for more videos on historic homes and quiet, elegant interiors, and tell me in the comments which never you agree with and which ones you would add from your own experience.